Righto, Glenn, welcome back to the shed. We've
Yes.
got someone in tonight that you know.
Yes, I do.
That I haven't met, so let's go grab them.
Yeah.
And let's learn a little bit more about who they are and why they're here.
Absolutely.
All right, get the drinks on.
Okay.
Hey,
look
Hey,
out. How are you?
Good
to see you, Uncle Kevin. How are you, mate?
Yeah, awesome.
This is Jason.
Hey,
Hello,
Jason.
how you going? Good,
Good to meet you.
Welcome to the Ted Shed.
Thank you.
Obviously.
Thanks for inviting me.
No, pleasure, mate. By all means. Obviously, this is probably our guest that actually knew Ted. One of our guests that
Yes,
knew him
yes.
personally, I guess.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he was a very good man.
Very good man. He'd be very, very proud of what you've done here, mate, and what you're
thank you.
aiming to do. So,
So Glenn introduced me and said we had a guest on tonight, and his name is Uncle Terry. So I'm guessing
close enough.
if it's Uncle Terry, no, Uncle Kevin.
Uncle Kevin.
My apologies.
Yeah,
My
that's all
mum's
good.
name was Terry. I don't know where my head's gone. So yeah, Uncle Kevin. I should be thinking like a minion, right?
Yeah, well,
Kevin.
Ah.
Yeah, there you go. There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
way. So, are you really an uncle of Glenn's?
yeah.
Your
yeah,
family?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you
go. Glenn's mum is my sister.
Right.
So,
That's right.
Yeah, Jen
Okay,
is
so
my
you definitely know Ted.
Yes, I did. Yes, for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
Yeah.
A heart of gold. Just a heart of gold.
Right, perfect. Yeah, well, we knew. Well, you knew.
Obviously.
Yeah. And it's funny, like when we talk about the Ted shed, a lot of people, because we've actually got a sign up over
Yeah.
here, which
Yeah.
is Ted, right, to his extra dry. And everyone goes, oh, you know, do you like the beer? And we're like, no, it's actually named after, you know, Glenn's dad.
It actually took me a little while to register what you'd done. And I thought,
Ah.
cool.
Yes.
Cool. I've seen a couple of the podcasts, and
Yeah.
I just thought, interesting name. Like it, and
Yeah.
I like the direction you're going, and Tad would be so proud of that.
Yeah, it pays homage to him, right? Great bloke,
Oh,
and it's a
absolutely.
real honour to
Yeah.
name something
Yeah.
after him.
I reckon we could also call it, you could have the shirt off my back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
it's
would.
that sort of vibe.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
he would. Yeah. Can I get you a drink?
Yeah, mate, I'll have a Coke, maybe.
Yeah, I've got some
That'll be
Pepsi
good.
Max.
That'll be fine.
Or
So
Coke
mate-
Zero.
Make that too, mate.
Two, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh, the bar's running dry tonight.
Two
That's
big
right.
drinkers in
Keeping the
tonight.
costs down, right? Production
Oh, I've got
costs
to
are
drive
just
back down
halved.
the Gold Coast, and you never know.
Right, so you're from the Goldie?
Yeah. We used to live here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I
Thanks, mate.
was born and bred in Brisbane.
Chermside.
Chermside, yeah. Mum and Dad moved out there when I was about 3 weeks old, I think.
Right.
Oh, really?
Chermside.
This
Yeah.
is something I'm about to learn something now.
My first sleep was in the bathtub.
Wow.
Maybe that's why I like long baths now.
Why were you in the bathtub?
I'm just
Well,
sitting...
they didn't have a bed for me to sleep in.
Yeah, right.
So they said, he can't fall out of the bathtub, we'll put him in the bathtub. So that was my first bed.
You're a big family, I know that.
Yep.
How many brothers and sisters, just to clarify?
One brother and 6 sisters that lived at home.
Yeah.
And then we had, from my dad's first marriage, a brother and a sister.
Auntie Vinny
And Billy.
and Billy. That's right. Yeah, wow.
William James was named after Dad. So.
Named after your dad. Yeah,
There you
wow.
go.
How old would your dad be now? Because your dad, my grandfather, died when I was 6 weeks old.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he died early 80s.
Yes, so he'd be probably well over 100 now, I guess.
Yeah, because I was 79, and I remember Mum and Dad said I met him, but obviously...
Mate, I remember him like it was yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Still, the things he said and the things he did and how he handled himself in situations. And I try to live like that. But hey, we all had our own little spin to things. So
That's right.
Isn't it funny too, like over time, and you mentioned that, I mean, my mother passed away a few years ago, and my grandfather not long before that, or a couple of years before that. But that was a different generation, like, so everything you've got in the memory is either black and white photos, but not video or anything, right? So today's generation, thankfully when my kids were growing up and filming stuff, I've got a lot of footage of my mother, and some stuff of my grandfather, but like a lot of those memories that you have, you can't just go and play them back today, it's all still here, right?
yeah, absolutely. And
just so you just picking up, it was interesting you say like the mannerisms and the character and that is still so vivid for you.
yeah, absolutely. We didn't have to rely on photos and that sort of thing, I guess, is really where it's at. It's like the digital age now and analog. if you took photos when you were a kid with an analog camera, you'd have to make sure all the settings were right to get the perfect aperture, and the photo was great. Now, take it on your phone. Don't like it?
Yeah.
Push a little delete button. It's in the bin.
Yeah.
Gone.
You're not going to the chemist and waiting a week to get your photos back to go.
To see how well
Wow,
it was.
We've talked about that, right? How many times did you have a camera?
Yeah, 24 of those out and one good one.
Exactly, but you'd also have the roll of 36, because it used to be 24, right?
Yeah.
And then you get like to 36. You go, oh my God. But you'd go to an event or something, and you'd snap off 10 photos. And then that roll would sit in your camera for months until you took the rest of them.
Yeah,
Now, like my photo library's got 60,000 photos in it because you can just go rapid shot, film this, snap that, and it's easy because there's no.
These things have got more power to them than the first computers I ever used.
Yeah.
I go back to.
I think my watch does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I go back to the day in computers where you'd have to put in 2 floppy disks. You tell a kid that, they say, "Oh, what's a floppy disk?"
Sounds like Dad before his Viagra.
Give it a big pill, Dad.
But remember, and then Office came out, and you go, or even like you go to install Office, you go, well, get the 28 discs ready. Swap out.
I remember, this is an old story, because Jason and I have known each other a very long time as well, so I don't know if you remember my friend Gavin Crouch that I used to play for.
Oh, I know that guy.
I know Quasimodo rings a bell, but that name rings a bell too.
So Gav, I used to play footy with him, that's how I met Jason. So many years ago, I remember being back at your mum and dad's house in Churchill, and the first scanner was ever on the market.
Yeah.
And I remember you... I know you did.
Yeah.
You had everything. I remember watching you scan a photo in 2 halves and trying...
Yeah.
So you do this half and you'd be like... Oh,
And it was only in grayscale. It wasn't.
it was in grayscale,
But it was basically a little handheld, I guess, light or scanner part at the top with some wheels down below, and you'd literally pass.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you'd do the second pass, and then the software would stitch the two
Stitch
together.
the two together.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
I
that
remember
was.
that.
Whew. But that
Now-
was back in the days of
Now
That would have been 95, I reckon. Maybe even 94.
Yeah.
it would have been early 90s.
No, even earlier than that.
Maybe
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah, okay. Because I think I met you guys in... started playing footy 88, so I reckon I would have met you guys 90.
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been early 90s.
Yeah, technology, mate, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's almost... it's good and bad.
It is. There are some bad things with it. We get
Definitely.
lazy. It's like I was saying with cameras before.
Yeah.
You had to take the perfect shot because you knew you were going to waste so much film and the cost of getting it developed.
Yeah.
And the time waiting for it to come back.
Yep.
Right? Now it's instant.
I know.
But I think that's the
Instant
good thing
gratification.
technology's done, right? Because how many times were you at a place and you go, I want to grab that shot, and then the anticipation is you got that, you go, and then it was blurry.
Well,
You stuffed it up. Whereas now you go, you can turn around, the cameras are smart enough, you're not missing those opportunities.
I talked
And
to...
it's vivid enough that you can actually see it compared to...
I
bad
agree with
quality.
you. There are lots of good points like that.
Yeah.
And you can retake them quickly.
Yeah.
But the art of photography
Oh, gone.
is gone.
Absolutely.
And all going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, that'll be all right, I'll just touch it up in Photoshop.
Yeah. But even framing a photo, right? That's an art in itself. People work in the thirds and stuff. But
Yeah.
you just see now, like on Marketplace and all these people where I guess everyone's now got a platform. And even people can't crop their photos, or let's take a portrait shot and stick the head in the middle and have nothing above.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's really started frustrating me of late is people, I don't know if they don't know how to save a photo when it's sent to them or something. So they open it up on their phone, right? And it's a landscape photo holding their phone portrait. So you got the black border top and they go screenshot and then post the screenshot. So 2/3 of the photo are these big black borders of the photo, and they just don't realise they can just click and save or save to library and then publish the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when you actually see things on Marketplace now, because Facebook obviously crops the photo as well, like as a thumbnail, and you click it, it expands, a lot of the time the photos are just black.
Yeah.
Because they've just taken the top part, and when you click on it, you go, wow, that's a way to really market your product for sale, right?
Do you know what
But yeah, I guess it's good and bad, right?
Do you know what I've been taking heaps of photos of lately and I don't know what to do with them?
What?
The QR codes to get into places. What are you meant to do with those things?
Yeah, they don't save on your phone.
You can't put my camera in and take a photo. What am I meant to do with it? Is that like just in case they turn up and I'll see where I'm going?
God, you're a bullhead.
Don't call him God. Oh my God.
Oh, classic.
Right.
He is a real technophobe, though.
I hate technology. Oh no, I shouldn't say I hate it, but I just don't. I don't actually give it the time to learn it. And I know that's sad at my age. Like, I'm right on that cusp, right? My generation was sort of there, but not.
Yep.
And you had the choice to either go down that line or not.
Yep.
And obviously I decided not to. But even now, like, to set up something at home, like, I call Jason because
Yeah.
probably one of two things. One, it frustrates the shit out of me.
Yep.
Two, I've got a friend that can do it.
Yeah.
It takes the easy out.
That you know is going to do the right
It's going
job.
to do the right job. It's all done, set up. You know, like, it's just a bit simpler than me getting frustrated at it.
Yeah. I think that those sorts of things have also added and come through society, you know, the ease of things. And don't know whether it's for the betterment of society or not, because then people tend to just want to take a quick, easy answer.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
there's not always a quick or easy answer to anything.
People want to fix stuff quickly now.
Yeah.
If they can't fix it, they get on their soapbox.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, soapboxes.
You owe me.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's like you talk about soapbox.
Soapboxes,
Everyone has a platform.
Yes,
course I do.
called
Right?
Facebook.
Whether you're as dumb as duck shit and your opinion's totally off the mark, you've got now a platform to go up, then stand there. And the thing is, you can say something outrageous, you can say something that's totally baseless, potentially harmful or damaging, and then there'll be a whole heap of people that will read that and go, "Oh yeah, great," and then they'll take that on board, and it becomes like the Twitter mobs and
they
stuff.
think it's true. Every now and then
on Facebook, it's got to be true.
Mate, every now and then I'll get on Facebook and say something stupid just to get people.
You throw a piece of bait out.
Yeah.
I don't stir people until I know them, Chase. But
Well, we try to do it on this show. We have this episode called a shed talk where we pick 3 topics, 5 minutes,
yeah,
and we just try to come up with anything to get people to interact and throw their opinions out there and see whether they want to agree or disagree, because it's a platform to have the conversation.
the point of view of if you ask a doctor for an opinion on something, or a solicitor even an opinion on something, if you ask 10 of them, you'll get 12 different answers.
Yeah.
Is probably even worse now. You ask anybody, and they'll give you a whole heap of different answers.
Yeah.
Are any of them right or wrong? Well, it's debatable. We form our opinions on information we have at a point in time.
Yep.
Now that information can change, and we should then change our opinion on what it is.
Yeah. It's confirmation bias in most instances, right? And you do see, I mean, like we probably all know of a politician at the moment, I think Craig Kelly, who was Liberal, who's now gone out, and he's now, I think, taken over as the leader of Clive Palmer's party.
Okay, yeah.
And so everyone's getting spammed by the email at the moment. But he's been banging on for so long about ivermectin, right? Going, ivermectin's this, ivermectin's that, and it works. And so...
Hold on. What's ivermectin?
So ivermectin is
I've never heard of it.
It's a drug for... It's used for horses.
This is a COVID thing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's a cure.
Yeah,
Cure.
so, and look, so he's been saying there's all these studies, and of course, the problem with, like you're saying, confirmation bias is that when you come to an opinion like that, all you've got to do is find someone else or one article to support what you believe.
Or
and then,
part of an article.
Well, yeah, and then you've been vindicated, right? It's like, it's just confirming. So there could be 99% of the professional community or even more who disagree, but you find that one in your theory about this. So, and I think, Craig might be in the same boat, because ivermectin it's a horse drug, and I'm not quite sure I think it's a worming drug or something like that. So it's usually ivermectin up the rectum. Somebody said recently, which is quite funny.
That could be alright for the gay community.
But for a test, right? I think what they've done is sort of gone, well, in a petri dish, let's put the ivermectin in, it kills the virus. So therefore, like, ivermectin is being in that study has been found to be effective in killing.
So does Glen 20, mate. I'm
Exactly.
not spraying that into my mouth.
Exactly. Right. And that you've just nailed, right? Because you can turn around and say ivermectin is effective in treating and killing off the virus, etc., like that. But we don't go around drinking Dettol.
Yeah.
No.
Right, or Glen 20 by the bottle. Right.
And the statistics of saying, you could have a road accident. You're more likely to have a road accident than die from COVID. But when I'm driving a car, I've got some options I can make. I've got some choices I can make.
Yeah.
I can say, that guy up the 4 cars in front of me is acting really stupid.
Yeah.
I'll just pull back, go into another lane, and keep view of where I've got options to escape if I need that escape.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a protection mechanism that I use.
It's in control of you.
Exactly. So I'm
Not 100% in
double-vaccinated.
control, but yeah, you can take measures, right?
Yeah, well, that's right.
You take the precautions.
That's right.
Yeah? I'm double vaccinated, as you are, Jason. My wife is in a situation where she needs to. I need to be careful for her.
Yeah.
But I can understand everybody else's point of view where they might not want to get vaccinated. But I'm scared that there's sorts of the inconsistencies of what the government's done, all governments, all levels of government, in handling the COVID situation, that people are backlashing on that and saying, I'm not going to get vaccinated because it's all bullshit and all rubbish.
Yeah, I think it's multi-pronged, isn't it? I mean, yeah, you've obviously got a chief health officer running around who's afraid of a shadow.
She's got a haircut too, just quietly.
And turns around and goes, oh, I'm really concerned that, I think her famous statement was, I don't want anyone age of 18 dying from the complications of a vaccine that they probably wouldn't die if they got COVID. Well, that just sends the wrong message.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely.
And
Lots of
it
wrong
undermines it.
messages.
So that was one message. But then you've obviously got, you hear a lot of reports now, like Queensland's running last. I mean, we like to win everything, but we're running last. But I think there's hesitancy because, one, we've been pretty untouched.
Well, we haven't had
We have.
1,280 cases a day, mate. I think our biggest case numbers in a day are 7 or 8.
Yeah, but what
One
did
day.
you
New
think?
South Wales is, 1,500 today?
Yeah, but wouldn't you think, though,
480 or
seeing
something?
Sydney's cases, seeing Melbourne's cases, going, shit, well, hang on, if we get vaccinated, because that could happen here, right? That's why I just don't get the mentality of people going, oh, I don't have to hurry, it's
You know
not
why it
here.
doesn't happen here?
Well,
We've got
because,
those big plastic things on the border.
yeah.
But you can walk across the border, you just can't drive.
And you can hug people across the border.
And then we can have events with 1,000 people here, Anastasia, in one room and not wear a mask.
Well, I mean, yeah, check that out, right? So they have the did you see the welcome home?
Yeah, look, it's all
Well, how
bit,
hilarious
there's
is
so
that?
many,
That's-
so much inconsistency.
That's
in
what
life.
keeps people down.
I've coached tennis for 30, 40 years.
Yep.
And that's a sport I love because it's black and white. The ball's either in or it's out.
Right.
The score's
Just depends if I'm your line umpire or not.
Nick Kyrgios doesn't agree.
Yeah, but he's missing the letter T in that attitude.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, so inconsistencies in sport and anything really, really get up my nose. I hate it so much. And all levels of government, again, have been inconsistent in their rulings and what they've done throughout COVID. And that's what annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah. And things that, like Glenn and I have spoken about, and we talk about it a lot off camera, and we try not to be political on the show. Like I've voted Labor most of my life, but I look at this current Labor government in Queensland and just go, really?
Yeah,
and even federally just going, nah, you've lost me.
I voted Labor a lot as a young person, but probably 20 years ago, I looked at them and I thought, you bastards think you deserve to govern.
Yep.
And they don't.
Yeah.
So I voted independent or other parties before Labor and before the Liberals.
Well, and the thing that was really interesting
They
is
go last on my ballot tickets.
well, statistically, look at the last election in Queensland, right? I mean, the governments do really things that annoy me, right? So, one of them is they've got mandatory 4-year terms now. We have no upper house in Queensland. But the other thing is mandatory preferential voting. Personally, I think, and I say this with utmost respect for my fellow Queenslanders, but I don't think most Queenslanders have got a clue how preferential voting or politics works. And when they're forced to go in, they either pick the one that they want, which makes the vote invalid, or they're going in a preferential system that they don't understand how and where their votes are going to, right? Because in the last election, Labor got less than 30% of the total primary vote. Right, but they're governing. So you took that. If I said to you, if you're a politician and I said to you, well, you're governing, great job, right? 70% of the state did not vote for you or your party. right?
They're thick-skinned and they're stupid, so they probably wouldn't understand you.
No, but I mean, that
Exactly
was the
right.
reality. They're in government because of preferential deals and obviously the number way the seats work and the allocation. But 70% of Queensland did not put their confidence in the current government. Right? But that government now speaks for us as the people and determines...
Whether you see your family across the barrier in the border or not.
Well, and the border was hilarious, right? And that's one thing that annoys...
Sorry.
Sorry, I'll just finish on this round.
You go.
Because I'm on fire.
I can tell.
I can see that.
The border
Here's
the other
one,
day, the last thing that I hate is with these daily press conferences is where you have the Premier, the
Deputy Premier,
Deputy
the Health
Premier,
Minister.
exactly, everyone, and then the police.
Yeah.
Right? And the police are saying, we're taking a hard line on this, we're not going to tolerate this, yeah. Then you see the footage of that Father's Day at the border, right, where New South Wales is supposed to be in lockdown, but anyway, everyone's just sitting, no different to what we are on either side of the bar, but probably leaning on from both sides.
We should get some
right?
barriers next week.
Yeah.
And they've got no masks on, and there's police there.
Yeah.
Police have got the car parked there, and they're walking back and forth. Now,
They were handing out masks. They mightn't have been worn, but they
correct.
were...
So, but here's the thing, and this is what gets on my goat, is when you see that footage, you can see that the police were there. They were not taking action against the people who were not socially distancing. They might be offering a mask, but it's Father's Day, so, the virus knows not to cross.
Yeah.
But the next day, that police chief is on there saying our officers were there enforcing the law, making sure people were distancing, making sure... And you go, bullshit they were.
No.
Look at the news footage. Everybody's lined up for hundreds of metres on the boundary, sharing presents, hugs, kisses, and the coppers were right there and were doing nothing.
So you know what that says to me, as a citizen in Queensland or a citizen in New South Wales, or you're not in New South Wales,
No,
but
I'm
you're
in
close.
Queensland still.
You're close.
I could almost throw a rock and hit the border.
Yes, you can.
So you live down there now, right?
Yeah.
So
we live
you
in
know
Brisbane.
exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Do you know what that tells me? Is that the people on the front line, the police themselves, don't agree with the rules that are coming from above.
Well, I
Would you agree?
think what's happening is more that they're showing compassion, which
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sensible.
Yeah.
And everybody's,
that's a good point.
everybody's throwing or blaming the Queensland government for this, but it's equally lays with the New South Wales government.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All to solve the issue, move the border to south of the Tweed
Yeah.
or another area and lock it off at that point.
Yeah, go down where it's
So
not
the
so
whole
popular.
community
Yeah.
can be living. And this should be happening in all border towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Albury-Wodonga,
yeah.
Melbourne, you know, you've got all those
go out
areas.
to Queensland border, Queensland New South Wales border. There's got to be half a dozen places
Yeah.
Well, how many
that are in the
places?
same situation.
How many places out there? And I know a couple of stories here which we might talk about, but I don't know whether I should. How many places on those borders out west are actually being watched?
Some of them aren't, but
Well,
a lot of them are.
Well,
Yes.
look at the
So,
the latest
family
outbreak.
where they went down to Victoria through the back, right? I just completed a job at a lady's house. I'm not going to say too much more about her. She told me there was 800 people that were Indigenous that come up from New South Wales to Queensland for an elder's funeral. They come through Lightning Ridge, no problem at all. That was at the height of Sydney's outbreak.
Yeah.
Why?
How?
Because
It's
it's
a question. It
because
shouldn't be
you know what I
happening.
think it is? It's all the bullshit media that hype it up and then they go, oh, we're just going to film right there on that spot. There's a shitload of other stuff going on they miss. They don't want to report on. They give you 30 seconds of what you think. The 7, 9, 10 news, we've spoken about this already, give you that 30-second snapshot of fuck all.
Yeah.
But you believe that because, like you
No,
said,
I don't believe
no, you don't.
No,
You're smart
that's
enough.
fine.
But most of the punters, 70% of the punters sitting out on their couch at home watching the news believe that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they get fed. Yeah.
But what you've got to do is analyse it and say, well, look, okay, does that make sense? Is it in context? Is it all of the story? And we'll sit and watch the Channel 7 news and say, didn't seem to be all the information there. Why not? What's the rest of the info?
Yep.
I'm not getting given
But just
that.
go and watch the press conference, right? Because daily, if you go to ABC, most of the time, I think they've sort of lost a bit of interest now. But most press conferences will start off and they'll give them, 20 minutes of that broadcast. You can sit there and watch the whole 20 minutes and you hear the context of questions, but then it gets to the news and then the reporter will sit there and do the old, well, this is what the health minister said today. There's no chance that these people from New South Wales are coming to Queensland. They cut to the soundbite and then all you hear is them say, not on my watch.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that could have been retorted 6 weeks ago.
Or that would have been at the same day, but it might have been a totally different question or not in the context of way that it was presented.
And that leads me into something my wonderful dad, who passed away many, many years ago, but a very, very smart man, said, son, believe 10% of what you see on TV, because TV was out then, and about 5% of what you read.
Yeah.
In the papers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 90% of this show's bullshit, so yeah.
You're there, that's pretty accurate.
And look, we're happy for people to disagree with us, but it's just like,
look, that's what.
As long as people can have that conversation, make up their own minds and do it respectfully.
When you're having conversation, you learn.
I agree.
Right? If you open your mind, you can learn things.
Yeah.
Even at my age, and I'm almost just turned 69, you can still learn. I can still learn from Glenn. You can still learn from me. We can learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a little word called respect.
Yeah.
That's getting lost in society and young kids, but
it is.
Oh, and I don't know.
Not all kids.
I don't think that. And once again, I think that's a media manipulation too. Because I know there's so many great kids in school, my kids' ages and that there's a lot of respect and everything else. There are some things that we would look back at and go, really? But our parents would have done the same thing for us, right?
The same thing, though.
Exactly.
Well,
I think there is a huge amount of good in today's youth, right?
They're right. That they unfortunately can be more easily misled.
Yeah. Well, and they're
that's what the issue
subjected to that, that false information through the platforms they watch.
Or
you get your information from
group
TikTok.
media. Yeah, get your information from TikTok.
Yeah, Pete Evans is releasing the latest COVID. COVID light. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Or Wikipedia, where you can write the information yourself.
Yeah, go and edit it yourself. And then
I don't like that. I think it happened this way.
Yeah. You got to wonder how many people turn in assignments, right, and they've used Wikipedia as their source.
You can't.
The teachers would sit there and just go.
If you quote Wikipedia in universities and colleges, I know this is the case in universities and colleges. I'm not sure about high school, but if you quote Wikipedia, you fail.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not recognised.
It's community sourced, right?
Yeah.
So you could go write a wiki page about Speedway, talk about midgets, and then just totally say a midget is this size chassis. It's 3 times faster than a full sprint car. It runs a V8 engine. You could just put all that up there, and if nobody verifies it, fact checks, or challenges it, that's the information on that subject, right?
Jesus.
Yeah. Highly unreliable.
Yeah. best way to tune your sprint car, go to Wikipedia.
Maybe we should go there and promote the TED Shed. Say it's the best thing in the world.
Oh, we could make the TED Shed.
The TED Shed Wikipedia page. Look out for it.
Wikipedia page. Yeah. It could be a dream.
Yeah.
So what's you said you're 69, obviously.
Yep.
What's your most valuable lesson in life?
I think probably from my dad. Listening to lots of different ideas and opinions and going back and then sort of pulling some bits, doing some research on it, pulling bits and pieces out of things and then coming up with other solutions. I love to offer people solutions and options. I don't believe we can get anywhere in life unless we have various options. I think if you just go through life in one line, not looking to the sides and seeing what's going on around the place and the peripheral, you won't get anywhere.
Yeah.
You become too stereotyped, I guess, is a way of saying it. I believe in giving people options, in then myself looking for other options. Are they right? Don't know. Are they wrong? Don't know.
Yeah.
There are options.
Yeah.
That's it. To have a look.
And I don't think there's anyone who's gone through life and they're sort of short and they're ignorant, but has started off with one set of values and opinions and then held that, right? Most people, like you're saying, you get shaped by different events and experiences and
people.
My wife,
exactly.
my children have changed my life.
Yeah.
How many times you see that? Like a young person, a couple of people come to mind for me who dickheads, young, real rabble rousers and that, but as older people, you have so much respect for in that because they've, you know, where they started out and where they ended up are two different places, right? Because of those things.
Yeah. But Glenn's a good example. He's come along leaps and bounds. So proud of the things that he's doing. I'm proud of my kids as well, and the things that they're doing. Wouldn't have thought they would have gone into those jobs, but they do, and they're enjoying it, and
that's
all you can ask for.
Absolutely,
as a parent, to hope that. And the thing I have seen from coaching so many different kids, you've got to set some boundaries. Kids work best with some boundaries.
Yeah.
So you have 3 sets of rules. These ones are locked in place. Don't move. There's another one that you can push a bit, and there's another group that you can negotiate on.
Yeah.
That negotiation one teaches the kids later in life that things are about negotiation, a bit of give and take. It's not all my opinion on what I want to do.
Yeah.
I call a lot of today's society the I want society because I want this, I deserve this. No, you don't deserve anything. Go and earn it.
Yep.
It's much better that way. You'll value it much more.
That's right.
So I just think that I'd like to see more people giving respect unconditionally. I'd like to see people listening better. Not just hearing, but listening. Listening to the whole thing. It's not,
Yep, I agree.
No, and like I said, I think there's a lot of that out there, but I mean, the news cycle we live in is always doom and gloom, the worst of, right? Because you can even see it's a slow news day here because then they start talking about stuff in America.
Yeah.
Or, there's, somebody was murdered in there. I go, okay, there's about 3,000 people murdered in the US every day, right? But let's just turn around and focus on one thing because we haven't had that headline here in Australia today, but we still need to keep up that.
Well, how fast did they drop off on the bushfires once the bushfires finished and something else came along next week?
COVID was the next thing. COVID was the next thing that came along last year.
So just
March last year, we went from bushfire catastrophe to shit as a virus with something like that.
ScoMo not being in the country because of the bushfire.
That's bullshit too. As Jason said, he's a federal member, not a state member. It's a state issue. Why the hell did we ridicule ScoMo?
It goes exactly back to politics, right? But everyone you hear these days, right? So
that's blame someone else.
That's a great example, right? Because we have a fire in Queensland. Now, if Morton Island was on fire today, right, we would deal with it.
Yeah,
it would just be okay. I'm pointing at a fake fire.
Anastasia would wave her mask.
But it would be maybe it's the masks burning.
Could have been
the fire would be treated by the state authority. Right?
Yeah.
Now, in that last fire we had, the fire started in Queensland. Remember the places up near Noosa and those places were all in trouble.
Yep.
And then next thing, nobody said anything. It wasn't a federal issue. It was like there's a bushfire, right?
Yeah.
Then Sydney got hit, and then Victoria, right, and the devastated. Now at that time, our Prime Minister goes overseas, but
for a family holiday.
Yeah, actually, I feel terrible if I take a holiday now because am I being judged for abandoning my state?
Oh, you will if you're on Facebook.
But the problem
You're
is,
let out of the state, mate. What are you talking about?
Those authorities in each state manage that, right?
Yep.
It's not a federal responsibility. It's like hospitals. If there's a hospital issue in Queensland, right? Yes, they're funded by the feds because they collect the GST and the revenue and they fund it, but that hospital system is run by the state. Education is run by the state. The fire services are run by the state. So then to turn around and everybody just does it now, right?
Yeah.
When there's a conversation about COVID, quarantines, hotel quarantines, forget the fact that people, like doctors or nurses and that, have actually taken the virus out of hospitals into the community. But that's ScoMo's fault because he fucked up on vaccines. And I'm sort of thinking, but gee, when that breach was out, I don't even think any other countries were really, having great access to supply at that stage. So there was all of that, and then, he's fucked up hotel quarantine. Well, no, the federal government shut the international borders. Yes, they're letting people in and out, right? But that's on a permit-based system. But everything's ScoMo. Scotty from marketing. When you ask anybody who's so pro Anastasia, it's Scotty from marketing's fault, and then they go straight back to remember when he pissed off overseas during the fires, and then everyone and I'm just going,
what was he going to do in the fires? Take out a
it's going to be like
Russian bag and Hessian bag and start hitting the fires.
It's going to be like Tony Abbott.
Exactly, and then
Tony Abbott was on the front line. ScoMo should have been there.
But then you have the buffheads too, like the Gold Coast comedian who ran around with all her Hollywood friends, collected millions of dollars for the bushfires, and then gave it to an authority that doesn't have a right or something in the constitution or whatever to actually issue that money to the community. They can only use it.
Do you know what they should have done?
No, Rural Fire Service or something. They can only use it for training and education, not to help rebuild homes.
Millions of dollars.
You know what?
And then said the government should fix that. And they're going, no, you should actually be smart enough to work out where that money needs to go.
Do you want to know where they should have sent it to? Lions International has said they want the money to be spent, every cent to be spent on the Australian fire. People who are in trouble through the fire. Yeah. It's in the Lions Charter that every cent you donate for a particular purpose must go to that purpose.
But we live in a world where a celebrity can collect. Like, what she did was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Massive amount of fun. But the execution was basically from, a previous actor who basically copies, other people's videos and makes a humorous spin, becomes the voice of the community, makes a mistake, and then once again, it's the government's fault. Now they need to change the rules so that money can go to the right people. And go,
she should have done the right research and found out who would get
but let's blame someone else. Now, and look, whether you're a fan of the, I think when I grew up as a kid, right, and it was, we're probably 3 different generations here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there used to be some level of respect for our federal leaders, the Prime Minister, whether it be Hawke, Howard, those guys.
Hawke was awesome, man.
Right, there was a level of respect, but now it's everybody is gunning
the crap out of the politicians, whoever it might be.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to get calibre too, that the person who takes that role is just a continual punching bag?
I think the person who takes that role is just a muppet.
Well, yeah, there's that. There's potential for that to be the case, but it's like any discussion, or some people want to call it an argument. I call it discussion because it's just putting points of view forward.
Yeah.
There's always more to it than what we see and think.
Of course.
Okay, so yes, potential is there for governments to be puppets.
But they're not leaders. They're not Bob Hawke anymore, are they?
No. Well, yeah, but he was a particular personality. Would he have survived now in the political correctness
Probably
that
not.
we have going on now?
No. But even John Howard. But John Howard would make a stand and stick to it.
Yeah.
We don't make stands and stick to it anymore.
No, we poll people.
You have 45 million people behind you telling you what you can and can't say in front of the camera. Blob Hawke, for example, when we won 1983, when we won
America's Cup.
Said everybody should have the day off. Any boss that bloody
Jackson's a bum.
He's a bum.
It's a bum.
But that's the thing now. Like, what even frustrated me?
Can't even say bum these days without getting ridiculed.
And I said, like, regardless of what camp you're in, the thing that I think of...
Can't say bum and camp in the same sentence, mate.
Okay. I'll leave it
there. Keep going, son.
I was going to say, the thing is, though, we seem to have this expectation that, like ScoMo in the current instance, has all the answers. But our parliament, right, and our politicians, and are more than that one person, right? There's a whole cabinet. Then there's all of the elected members. Now, you've got to remember that they're only the representatives. Yes. You've actually then got the bureaucrats that run the departments and do this. So
they're what runs the country.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And everybody gets pissed off on ScoMo, oh, he earns that, or politicians should have their pays cut. And you're going, what? He's on. Someone's on $400,000, but the bureaucrat over here is getting $6 million a year to run a social security department. Someone over here to run that department.
Yep.
The money that the bureaucrats are getting is way more than what the politicians get.
And what the politicians also gain after finishing in Parliament, they get a superannuation fund that's better than any of us can possibly get.
Yep.
Now that's wrong. They should be only able to put into their super fund the amount we're able to put in.
Yeah.
Was it 1.6 or something at the maximum? Are they getting taxed on that? No.
Double standards.
But hang on, here's another question. Let me put that another way. Defence Force people, right? They go and serve overseas.
They should be paying more, paid more than the politicians.
Well, but when they come home, right,
yeah.
they basically get, like my father, he's 21 years in the Air Force, gold card now, and he's basically got a pension for life, like of a son.
Yep.
What's the difference?
So he should. He's put his life on the line.
Yeah,
There's a difference to that as compared to a politician. A politician, through the fact that they've been, Scott Morrison, out of Parliament, not a Prime Minister anymore, he's still getting good wages. He's getting his super. He's got an office, if he wants it, all at taxpayer funds.
Yep.
That's just bullshit.
Yep.
Because he could go out, if he was a solicitor, and say, "Oh, I'm Scott Morrison, I can." Do you like me to
I'm not disagreeing
because
with
of the fact that he's a prime minister, was a former prime minister. Oh, yeah, okay, well, you can handle my case.
Absolutely.
But you also have the likes of Malcolm Turnbull, who are extremely rich and had the wealth, and they took a massive pay cut to become a prime minister. So my question, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just playing devil's advocate because this is what I love to do. So the alternate conversation. So what about if we look at it from the other way, going, yeah, they get a few $100,000 a year to be the PM, and then they get these perks for life, right? What if you look at it from the point of view going, the person who's running the country should be of the calibre, right, where we reward them. So take, for example, a Qantas CEO who's on fucking plane loads of money, pardon the pun, right?
Not flying anymore.
To run,
He's flying north all the time.
getting basically billions from the government in handouts, and every time the industry
That's another
goes
issue
down.
I have.
Right. But what I'm saying is that person's a CEO on massive money, getting government billions, will still be getting bonuses, and the money that they earn is obscene compared to a prime minister. Is it not fair that a prime minister, even if they earn less and gets perks, right? Don't you want the calibre of a quality CEO to run the country?
Yeah.
And if you pay them peanuts and give them peanuts, you get monkeys, right?
Yep. But are we getting the best that we can? I think the CEOs of a lot of companies are very greedy, and I think people live above their means. And we were discussing this earlier. I've been financially independent for the last 45 years. I owe nobody anything. Okay? You sacrifice when you're young, or you sacrifice when you're old, but you're going to sacrifice at one stage. I did it when I was young, now I've got no worries.
Yep.
I think a lot of people get far too greedy, and they could probably live on a whole lot less. Well, they can. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
I think people get very greedy, and when you're in Parliament, I believe you're a public servant. Do servants work for big money, for extra benefits, or are they to serve the people?
Yeah.
That's what a servant is.
Yeah, true.
Is to serve.
But a bureaucrat who heads up a department is a public servant as well. And
exactly.
their money's in
They're getting
right?
far too much money.
Exactly.
Far too much money.
I mean, look at Christine Holgate when she was the head of Australia Post, right? And that, mind you, what's that, a government-owned organisation, but I don't really see the difference of.
Yeah.
Right, but once again, she was getting motzes, and then over that Cartier watch scandal or whatever, gets booted. And there's a funny story in that, right? Because the opposition is standing there at the time. This is each way elbow, as they call him, right? Sitting there screaming, going, this is unfair. The Prime Minister needs to take action. Yeah. So the Prime Minister stands up there and then whatever, they call for her, she gets booted. Now today, that same opposition leader is running around going, because she's been found to have not really done anything wrong, is that, the Prime Minister shouldn't be doing that, and he owes her an apology, it's reckless. And I'm like, you were championing that action. You were calling for her head.
Yeah.
But now it's, once again, the PM. But Christine Holgate, obscene amount of money, and then even through her termination, which rightly or wrongly has been found that it was unfair, here's a golden handshake. Take your money and run. Obscene amounts of money.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps focusing on, like pensions for politicians, which I think has changed somewhat in, you've got to do long before you get at them.
Yeah, but they get some.
But you're right, they're public servants.
They're servants, and are they they're hardly servants.
No.
Really, of the people.
No.
I would like to see, as an option, for to have a democratic society that I'd like to see more people get involved with the decisions that Parliament makes. How we could do that very simply in this day and age wouldn't be that hard.
TikTok. You vote on TikTok.
TikTok piece of bread.
Is the item of the day pro or
No, well, similar to that, but
Yeah.
but every politician, whoever the federal member here is, or the state member, or the council member, they have their website. They have a number of things that they've got to vote on in the next month or so. You do some research on it. You can ask them to vote in a particular way, and they have to vote instead of along party lines. They've got to vote on what the constituency says.
Yeah, that's exactly
But
right.
that'll never happen. Like, because even now, you can pick up your phone to your local member and raise an issue, right?
Yep.
And that person can be politely and saying, "Yeah, look, we agree with you," but as soon as they go in the party room, they have the majority. They go on the
along with
floor.
the party vote.
Exactly. They're not representing. So the whole idea is obviously the representatives to represent the voice of the community. They don't.
No.
It's party politics. They have these big conventions each
But
year.
that's
They
what I'm
set out
saying.
their
We've
agenda.
got to change that.
Yeah.
If we want a democracy, we really have to change that.
How,
and then get people
how do you
to
do that when the people in charge, right, control, go back to the conversation we were having before about putting in 4-year terms, mandatory preferential voting, basically setting up systems to benefit themselves?
Yep.
Like one thing that appalled me, and I don't know if you were across of it, remember the, was it, I think Noosa, they had that council election, right? And basically what happened, I think it was Noosa, it was a mayoral race, right? And Queensland government had changed the law, basically saying if a mayor is elected and they get ousted or something happens, the position will then go to the next candidate.
No, that was one
take.
further up the coast.
But it was up
a
that
bush
north
guy,
way.
a
Yeah,
bush
the guy-
guy, the meat pie guy.
Was it Bundaberg or something maybe? Because
Somewhere up
he
around there.
walks around on his bike with his bare feet.
Bare feet.
So yeah, the mayor got the vote of 70%. So this is after the law change. She got, because I don't know what her circumstances were, but she got removed. So technically, he was it. And then the government's looked at him and going, he's on a bike, he's got bare feet, no one wants him. They went and retrospectively changed the law
He's a grubby looking vote.
and had a by-election because
bullshit.
they didn't like the fact that this guy was going to be the mayor.
Yeah.
Double standards.
So retrospectively it changed the rules. So he was technically entitled to that job as mayor.
That's bullshit.
But see, this is the thing. So they're changing the rules retrospectively
Yep.
to
suit
maintain
what
the
they
status
want.
quo.
Yeah.
So how do you think that is a government ever going to represent the people, or are we going to have that change if the people in control
It's
won't
never
allow it?
Do you want me to tell
It's
you?
never going to happen until...
Well, your idea won't work.
What's that, blow them all up?
No, the people won't revolt. You won't get enough
Civil
numbers.
war, mate.
No, it won't happen.
No, it won't happen, but...
Because look what happens when a border
There's-
protest, right? You get a couple of thousand people. That's like a 15th of bugger all in the community, and the government will sit there and go, look, 25 million people in Australia, 3,000 people came out and protested.
And we'll send 5,000 cops out.
Yeah, exactly. We'll quash that, right? It would take a revolution to see like millions of Queenslanders walk through the streets of Brisbane and create chaos to get that message across. And I don't think people in Queensland are
Are
prepared
we
to do
allowed
that.
to protest?
Of course you are.
Yeah, you're allowed to
Yeah,
protest.
it's not
You
illegal.
can protest.
Joe be up
You've
your
got
piece,
to,
it's
you've
not
got
a
to,
Who
I
did
believe
change
you've got to apply to be able to run a protest, and it's going to be peaceful, blah, 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 and then you can run your protest. Right?
But I think even those people, those Extinction Rebellion who build their teepees on a highway exit and sit there, right, shut down the highway for half a day, sit there, come on
All
now.
that does is piss people off.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it helps the
Doesn't
It
cause.
help.
does the opposite
Yeah.
to what they actually
But I think
want
in
to
those
achieve.
scenarios, though, the police aren't heavy-handed, really.
No.
So
Not unless they're aggravated. And I'll tell you what, I've great admiration for the police. I do a little thing with my coffees. When I get a coffee from a shop, and they've got freebies every 10 or something coffees.
yeah,
When we were living in Brisbane before we moved down the coast, I used to go up to my local shop, buy the coffee, they'd stamp it, they'd say, "Oh, do you want your free one today, Kev?" I said, No. Hold on to it, get the card, finish the card, and say, right, the next lot of officers,
they come in.
either police, ambulance, fireys,
Yep,
whatever,
Yeah, wow.
service people,
give
give
them
it to them.
Nice.
If I was at the shop and I saw a fire brigade come, the fire guys come in, or a couple of police, I'd go up to the counter and put $20 over the counter and say it's for the police
There you go.
or whoever's coming.
Nice.
Because they're copying a heap of shit from people that they don't deserve to cop.
No.
So if I can pass a little bit of happiness
Bit
to
of
those
love.
guys,
Yeah, that's nice.
What's the biggest change you've seen in Brisbane?
Oh, that's
Expo 88?
Oh, Expo 88 was unbelievable.
Yeah?
It was awesome. We were there most nights.
Yeah.
Susie and I.
Yeah, really?
That was the year before our kids were born.
Yes.
Our kids were born in 89.
Did it run for 3 months? Only 3
6.
months? 6.
Sorry?
Did
6
it run
months.
for 3 months or 6 months?
6 months?
I believe it was 6.
It just doesn't. I lived in.
It was a long time, mate.
I lived in Victoria then, right? So my expo experience.
Oh, we won't hold that against you.
was come up. Well, I'm a Queenslander, but my dad was in the Air Force.
We won't hold that against you.
I got an excuse, yeah.
Nah.
But so yeah, expo for me was like, you know, a 3-day weekend up here kind of thing with a 3-day pass. So which was pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, having it and living here, you were there all the time.
We were there most nights.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get
Did you?
bored?
We got the Expo pass.
Yeah.
No, the annual pass.
Yeah.
I remember seeing John Farnham play there in the Little River.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would have been 10. We might have
Yeah.
worked with you, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe. I can't remember.
We did a lot of things.
That photo didn't turn out on the 36.
Yeah.
Didn't get a focus.
Yeah, that role was overexposed, wasn't it?
Do you think that changed Brisbane?
Oh, I think it did. I think it had a good effect on the direction the city was going.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember the old where South Bank is now.
Yeah.
Prior to Expo, it was just a lot of old buildings.
Old warehouse.
Yeah, well,
Houses and
actually,
stuff.
my mate who I went to school with, his dad was the publican of the pub on the corner. I think where the ABC is now. It's right next to the Performing Arts or whatever it was. Yeah, big old place there. But you're right, because I remember going there on weekends and sleeping that side of the river was very derelict, and it was just some street running and then footpaths and
Joey Bellino and all those blokes ran that area, right?
Yeah.
The underbelly of Brisbane was out of South Bank.
Yeah.
But mind you,
Well, what's happening
after
now?
Expo left, like that place, like if you talk about it, putting Brisbane on the map, but it was left in disarray for so long.
Was it?
It was. I remember going there years after it closed, and somehow I parked in the car park. I had to go to the convention centre. Well, I don't know if it was there then.
Wouldn't have been there then.
No, it was. It was a car park because they built the convention centre over the back.
The convention centre was there in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been late 80s.
Well, there was something there. And then, so this is how long past it was because I was back in Queensland then. But I parked in the car park and didn't know whether like up or down to get out to the level that I wanted. So I've walked up the stairs and I've actually got to the roof of the car park. And, the fire stairs, the door was open. And I've just walked out, what I walked into? The theme park.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the theme park was. It was on the other side of the railway lines, on the top of the car park. Right. I walked up in there and the roller coasters were still there. What used to be the fountains were all in disarray and long grasses growing out of what used to be the fountain. And it was just like something out of like one of those Scooby-Doo cartoons where it's like an abandoned theme park. But it sat like that for years.
Yeah, right.
On the top of that.
I don't really recall that. South Bank's certainly a big improvement.
Yeah.
That whole area has just changed dramatically.
Oh, you can't afford to buy a house in West End.
The city itself has just changed so much.
Yeah.
Here's a little fact that a lot of people don't know. Brisbane is the 3rd largest city, area-wise, in the world.
Brisbane City Council is
really?
the largest.
Brisbane City is.
But Brisbane City Council is the largest council geographic in the world.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so then, and I know we're going on a lot of different subjects here.
That's what we do.
But
That's exactly what we do. We all sit here like, wow.
There's no water.
But you look at Brisbane as the size it is for the number of people that are there, that are in it. The council does a bloody brilliant job.
Yeah.
To do what it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we're not in Brisbane here, so...
No.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
Let's not phrase out
Yeah.
high rates and less services, but yeah.
But there we
That's
go.
exactly right.
Speak up when you're spoken to.
That goes off at the best times every show. Trust me.
But so it's a super big city with a very small population comparatively to other big cities, and so to run what they do, with the public transport, and that's another point. I'll get onto that too. But public transport and sewage and water and all that sort of stuff, and to maintain it in a reasonably good standard, and some of the places overseas are absolute.
Well, I will admit that Brisbane is a very tidy city, right? Like when you go to LA and other parts and stuff like that. I mean, Brisbane's got its its ups and downs. But as a
Brisbane's
whole,
pretty good as a whole, man.
it's a pretty good place.
Yeah. I mean, you would have seen Clem Jones bring sewage through Brisbane, right?
Well, when I was a young fella, we used to have the fence hoppers, the old
yeah,
loo guys, the shit guys, or the garbologists. They got
Garbologists. Could you imagine that as a job?
Oh, could you imagine it today, though?
It'd be a shit of a job.
Yeah.
But could you imagine it?
But the health and safety of doing it back then compared to now, these guys would all be bloody up in suits and respirators and
you'd have to wear your mask.
And there'd have to be a bloody work permit to go into the toilet.
You must, the clothes must have stench. You'd have had to change.
And you go over your wife, you smell like shit. You'd never believe the guy in Chermside.
And they jump fences with these things on their backs.
Man.
And they weigh a ton.
So you would have seen all that, right?
Oh yeah. And then the sewage lines coming through.
That was a massive thing for
Jones did a
Brisbane.
great job, but again, politician that probably got a lot of benefits out of that too.
Yeah.
But just think about that logistically, though. Like if you said today, I mean, it is massive, but just to turn around and retrofit something into an existing, neighbourhood. Like when we talk about NBN or something here, right?
Oh, we did that well. Didn't we, Australia? Well done.
That was awesome.
Multi-technology mix. You
still
can
brass.
pay more for less.
I've still got brass coming in my house.
Yeah. Well, my broadband speed is halved and went from 100 meg to 50 meg, and I paid $10 a month more.
Well done.
Because they took me off the coaxial network that I was on and put me on a fibre to the node. So, pay $10 or more for half the speed.
Yeah.
Brilliant, great.
You're only as fast as the weakest link on internet.
Yeah, well, you know how long it takes me to upload these episodes? I edit it in an hour and it takes me 4 hours to upload the
Yeah.
That's what it's like, right?
I understand you. I hear you. I've done a bit of that sort of thing myself.
So look, thanks for coming down and joining us in the
You're
shed.
very welcome.
I know, like you've come all the way from that border zone. You're lucky you're on this side of the border. But Glenn's got something for you.
Good old Ted Shed.
Tea.
Thank you.
And wear that with pride, I'm sure you will.
I shall, mate. Yes. Absolutely. Thank you for letting me come
Right.
up and
Thank
have
you.
a chat. It was awesome.
Real pleasure, Terry.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from.
Either way.
Oh, Kevin, thank you.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you.
Mate,
All right.
as long as I don't get called late for meals,
No, I think I'm going to title the show now. It's episode with the Uncle Terry Kevin.
No.
Phil, Paul, George, Henry, Simon.
Do you reckon Kevin's a dying name?
I don't know. Probably.
Young man with an old man's name? No?
No.
I don't know. There's a few Kevins coming
Is
on
there?
TV shows.
I probably had Terry, because Terry Russell,
Oh, yeah, Terry.
we were having a conversation about.
He was in the bar on Sunday.
Yeah, you
actually.
said Terry dropped something off, and that's probably what just got Terry stuck in my head. So apologies.
It's
Apologies
all
for
good.
that.
It's all
But
good.
it's- yeah.
I've been called worse.
Yeah, haven't we all?
Arsehole.
Oh, you!
Yeah.
Shit.
All right.
We'll talk
So
about
let's wrap here. Let's do this one. Thank you very much for joining us in the shed. We hope you enjoyed the chat with another great local from a greater Brisbane area. Tune in and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Ta-da!
Well, thanks for watching. It was a real pleasure to have Derek in the studio with us tonight.
Thanks, George.
No worries. Thank you, Tony. It was a
No
pleasure.
worries. Yeah, good to see you,
Thanks,
John.
Peter.
All right. And for those at home,
Okay, we go.
what do they need to do now?
Like, share, and subscribe.
And ding
Ding
the
the
bell!
bell!
All right.
Ding the bell.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.